Jai Gurudev. So the verse mentions that Kala Bhairava is the giver of both bhukti or worldly prosperity and mukti or liberation. How does Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji explain this balance in spiritual life? Yes, Jai Gurudev. Gurudev often says spirituality is not about renunciation of the world but about celebration in the world with awareness. Kala Bhairava embodies this principle. He grants bhukti or material abundance for fulfilling righteous desires and mukti or liberation for those walking the inner path. Gurudev teaches that through practices like Sudarshan Kriya, Pranayama, and Seva, one becomes established in the self, then desires no longer control us. Rather, we engage in the world joyfully with freedom. This is the hallmark of a true spiritual mastery, participating in the world without being bound by it, just like Kalabhairava. Prashastu Charu Vigraham. His form is described as auspicious and beautiful. How do Vedic rituals and practices help one attune to such divine forms? Yes, in the Vedic tradition, divine forms are not mere symbols but channels of subtle cosmic energies. Through practices like Upanayam, Sandhyavandanam, and Agni Karyam, the mind becomes purified and refined enough to perceive divinity in form. Gurudev has emphasized that beauty lies not only in the outer but in the inner radiance. Kala Bhairav's Charu Vigraham is the beautiful form, is not just aesthetic but energetic. When we chant mantras or perform homas, especially with offerings like ghee and akshat, we invoke these divine forms, allowing their energy to uplift our consciousness and environment. The verse speaks of Bhaktavatsalam, the loving nature of Kalabhairava towards devotees. How is this reflected in one's personal experience through art of living practices? As devotion or bhakti is the heart of all transmission, Gurudev reminds us that when the intellect becomes still and the heart blossoms, devotion arises naturally. Kalabhairav's fierce exterior conceals an immense compassion for seekers. In deep meditations in Sahat Samadhi or during satsangs, many practitioners report feeling protected, watched over, and guided. Experiences resonate with the energy of a Kalabhairava. His protective love removes fears and grants inner strength. When we do Sudarshan Kriya regularly, the connection to the divine becomes not theoretical but tangible and personal. Yes, the Sthitam Samstha Loka Vigraham. He is the embodiment of all the worlds. How does this relate to the concept of Sarvartha Bhava in Vedic and Yogic traditions? This is a profound statement. Samasta Loka Vigraham implies Kala Bhairava encompasses the totality of creation, raw, subtle, and causal realms. In the Vedic worldview, advanced sadhaks cultivate Sarvatma Bhava, a vision where all beings are seen as extensions of the one supreme consciousness. Through initiations like Gayatri Upadesha and Sandhya Vandanam, one gradually realizes this unity. Gurudev simplifies this for modern seekers by saying, see God in every face, every moment, and every breath. In that sense, Kala Bhairav's presence is not confined to a temple, it pulsates through every dimension and every being. The verse poetically describes the golden bells or Hema King Glini is at his waist that produce pleasing sounds. So, what is the symbolic significance of this, especially in the context of mantra and sound vibration in the art of living and Vedic paths? Yes, sound is one of the most powerful carriers of consciousness. The Hema King Akini or golden bells symbolize not only divine ornamentation but also the sacred power of sound. Their melodious ringing echoes the subtle vibrations of mantras in the art of living. Chanting Om Namah Shivaya or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya aligns us with such high frequency energies. Gurudev says every sound in creation has a vibration. Divine sounds clear your mind and uplift your spirit. The bells of Kala Bhairava are like an ever present reminder that divine rhythm is guiding our lives. The stanza ends by calling him the Supreme Lord of Kashi. Why is Kashi so significant in Vedic cosmology, and how do both Art of Living and Vedic Dharma Sansthan promote its spiritual legacy? Yes, Kashi is not just a city, it is Mahasamshana, or the great cremation ground where ego, fear, and ignorance are symbolically burned. It represents the final frontier of self realization. Kalabhairava is its guardian, ensuring that only those free from ego pass through its spiritual gates. The Vedic Dhamma Sansthan organizes yagyas, Rudrabhishekam, and Guru Pujas in Kashi to preserve this sacred vibration. Gurudev has led satsangs there and spoken of Kashi as a place where every step is a mantra and every breath is a liberation through pilgrimage, puja, and inner purification. Seekers resonate with the very soul of Kala Bhairava. How does this verse help a modern seeker amidst career, stress, and distractions to reconnect with divinity and strength within? In the hustle of modern life, we often forget our inner part. This verse reminds us that divine strength, beauty, compassion, and freedom are within. Gurudev teaches that daily sadhana like Sudarshan Kriya, Padma Sadhana, and Sahaj meditation acts as a bridge to this sacred remembrance. Kalabhairava is not remote, he is the fearless, radiant presence inside us that helps us cut through fear, doubt, and stagnation. Chanting this verse, especially when sung by Bhanumati Narasimhanji, carries the living vibration of that strength. It rekindles our connection to grace, reminding us that even amidst chaos, we are protected and guided. In today's corporate environment, leaders often juggle performance targets, burnout, and ethical dilemmas. How can the Bhukti Mukti Dayakam aspect of Kalabhairava guide CEOs or CXOs? Yes, in the corporate sector, there is immense focus on bhukti, growth, rewards, and success, but this often comes at the cost of mukti, inner peace, clarity, and self fulfillment. Gurudev teaches that real success is where the smile is not only on your face but on others' faces too. A CEO practicing Sudarshan Kriya gains calmness to make strategic decisions, and through Sahat Samadhi meditation, they access deeper intuition. Kala Bhairav's dual blessings that remind leaders that material results and spiritual fulfillment are not contradictory but complementary. A calm, centered mind makes better decisions, retains talent, and builds conscious companies. The verse describes him as Prashyata Charu Vigraham or divine beauty in form. In entrepreneurship or branding, how can this principle be translated into action? This verse is deeply symbolic for entrepreneurs. Charu Vigraha is not just outer beauty, but integrity, design, ethics, and alignment with dharma. A product or brand that is beautiful externally but empty of values eventually collapses. Gurudev emphasizes sattva or purity of intent. At the Sansthan, we perform Vastu, Shuddhi, Pranapratishtha, and meditative design rituals. To align energy with aesthetics, entrepreneurs today can build soulful brands by embedding wisdom, service, sustainability, and purpose into the DNA of their ventures. Just as Kala Bhairava radiates grace despite fear, strength, entrepreneurs can radiate brilliance balanced with benevolence. The Bhakta Vatsalam, he is devoted to all his devotees in the non-profit or NGO world. What does this teach us about leadership, compassion, and servant governance? Is an NGO's impact without ego is the highest value. Kala Bhairav says Bhakta Vatsalyata teaches leaders to lead with love and fearlessness. Gurudev always says a true leader is a servant first in our Yes Plus and Volunteer for Better India programs. Youth are trained to lead with heart, not hierarchy. Kala Bhairava, though fierce, listens to even the smallest prayers. Similarly, NGO leaders must listen to grassroots voices. Sahat Samadhi meditation helps them avoid compassion fatigue, and Seva becomes their path to growth. The blend of devotion and dynamism, as taught by Gurudev, is the very soul of sustainable social impact. The Sthitam Samasta Loka Vigraham, he embodies all worlds. How can this inspire political leaders to move beyond party lines and serve the whole society? Politics today often divides, but the dharmic leadership unites. The Kala Bhairava stands for justice, protection, and equal vision. He represents not one loka but a samasta loka, all people, all beings. Gurudev has addressed parliaments and conflict zones with the message that spirituality transcends identity. Where political leaders daily Sandhya Vandanam and Gayatri chanting expand consciousness beyond narrow affiliations. Our Sansthan works with public servants and administrators, helping them perform Rajashamaka homas to maintain purity and governance. A leader rooted in the oneself, like Kala Bhairava, cannot be corrupted by vote bank or vanity. He becomes a protector of Dharma for all. The Ihema Kingini, Lasatta Katim, golden bells producing sweet sounds, is a poetic image. What does this symbolize in modern workplace, culture, and interpersonal communication? In today's teams, communication must be clear, uplifting, and resonant like those divine bells. Gurudev says the tone of your speech can build bridges or burn them. These bells symbolize Shabda Buddhi or purity. A word in Art of Living's corporate programs. We train employees to express with calmness and dignity, avoiding gossip, sarcasm, or aggression. Just as Kala Bhairab's waste emits divine sound that harmonizes the atmosphere, a mindful leader's speech can motivate, soothe, and align teams. The sound of trust and joy is far more powerful than the noise of command. Kala Bhairava is the Kashika Pura Adhinatha, Lord of Kashi. In a globalized world, what does this teach us about rootedness, sacred spaces, and innovation? Yes, Kashi symbolizes the meeting point of time and timelessness, action and liberation. Being the guardian of this sacred city, Kala Bhairava teaches us to innovate while staying rooted in consciousness. Entrepreneurs and policy makers often look west for innovation, but Gurudev reminds us you are sitting on a spiritual gold mine. Our Sansthan conducts heritage based programs in Varanasi, integrating Vedic science with modern living. In business and governance, honoring sacred spaces, literal or metaphorical, adds longevity. If your boardroom carries mindfulness and your decisions arise from dharma, you are already ruling your own Kashi. In real world applications, how can daily invocation or remembrance of Kala Bhairava, as described in this verse, transform one's personal and professional life? Even a 5 minute remembrance of Kala Bhairava each morning while listening to Bhanumati Ji's rendition or chanting the verse can infuse you with alertness, clarity, and courage. Gurudev says that divine remembrance purifies the subconscious for corporate leaders. It clears the fog before key decisions for politicians. It grounds them before public speeches for NGO workers. It recharges purpose when you